Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking Blantons. Okay, Ben, we've got two Blantons sitting in front of us. What's the story?
Well, everybody, I think most people know the story of Blanton's, but my wanting to talk about Blanton's is question that I have is, does liking and hunting for Blanton's make you a douche?
I don't know.
Well, here's the answer, for me anyway.
Okay.
Of course not. You like what you like, and whatever you like, that's great. But I've kind of seen lately that, you know, on bourbon-related content online and like Instagram and stuff, it's kind of become like the thing to make fun of new bourbon fans.
Do you think it's like people who, they've heard of Blanton's, right? It's popular, it's famous, it's hard to find. They can't find it, so they make fun of it. You know, if it was on the store shelf everywhere at a reasonable price, I mean, people don't make fun of, you know, Jack Daniels.
Right. Well, I think it's just because Blanton's seems to be kind of the, when you're just getting into bourbon, it's the entry-level unicorn. Yeah, like this is the one you hear about first, like, oh, Blanton's, I heard that's really good. It's hard to find.
Yep.
And then you hunt for it, and then people that are a little more experienced in the bourbon journey, for lack of a better term, I've noticed are kind of tending to make fun of that now. Like, I've seen a couple of liquor stores in the last month that have had a sign that said, it's been X amount of days since somebody asked us if we had Blanton's. And that's just kind of funny. But I've seen, like, memes and stuff of legitimately making fun of
You know what that feels like to me? It feels like somebody who, a couple years ago, they were, like, bourbon newbies, you know, and we were both in that category.
Yep.
And we hunted for Blanton's, and we found a bottle or two. But now we're making fun of other people who are doing exactly what we did.
Right. And when we say we, I don't mean like you and me, because I don't make fun of people for that.
Oh, yeah,
you don't.
Right.
I kind of feel like the seasoned bourbon enthusiasts kind of treat Blanton's like, it's like they're into a band, you know, but they're super into it, and Blanton's is the one hit song that everybody likes, so of course you have to make fun of them, that they're not real, you know.
Yep.
It kind of has that vibe going on, which...
It's unfortunate for Blanton's if you actually like the bourbon, because it's unfair.
Yeah, it is. Now, that being said, I would say absolutely if you see one of these for MSRP, pick it up. The thing that I don't like about it is that, especially people that are new to bourbon, end up getting price gouged on this stuff and pay exorbitant amounts of money for it that it's just not worth.
It's not.
You know, it's good. It's the reason it's popular is because it is good bourbon.
And it's got a cool bottle. It is distinctive. I think it was like a kind of like a storyline in some TV show, which I've never seen. So
Really?
yeah, so it became famous for a number of different reasons.
It was the first ever single barrel as well.
But that's a bourbon nerd kind of thing,
Right.
I mean, it became a pop culture part of this whole bourbon boom of the last 10 years. Blanton somehow caught on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's some TV show somewhere and someone on the internet saying what it was, but I never saw it. But there's some reason, partly why it's caught on. And it's a good bourbon, and we're about to do a review of it. We actually have a pour of each of these because each bottle comes from a different barrel.
Yep, and they're from the same year, just a few months apart. So, but the other thing I kind of wonder is, in the category of are you being a douche, like, is it the person who's just new to it and is just trying to find a cool bottle like all of us do? Or is maybe the person who's making fun of that person rather than just trying to help them out and say, hey, here's some alternatives or whatever? Yeah. Like, who's being the bigger douche there? Food for thought.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into these. So, Blanton's a single barrel, so these two, like Greg just said, come from different barrels. So the bottle on the right is both our right and left. So, all right, let's give her a whirl here.
Okay.
These are both from 2019. Buffalo Trace product. Named after Colonel Albert B. Blanton. Do you know what the B in Albert B. Blanton stands for?
B.
Yeah, well, do you know what word it stands for? Bacon.
Oh, that's right. I did know that.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is enough to get the hype around Blanton's.
I agree.
That's probably the story that got out, that the B stands for bacon, and people just went nuts over it.
Crazy.
Man, it does have a really... For 93 proof...
So here's the hard part, is if I review this honestly, I sound like a fanboy.
That's okay.
But the reality is, it's a good bourbon.
It's
worth a lot of the hunting and the effort and trying to get it. Now, it's not worth overpaying and being price gouged.
Yeah.
But it's a good bourbon. It's a bourbon you want.
Sure.
But there's a lot of good bourbons that you have and I have that
are readily available that match up just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I'm getting a nice barrel notes. Brown sugar is really good on this one.
It's a good balance of the sweet.
Almost a little grape in there in a weird way.
Maybe that cognac the other day messed you up.
That could be.
A lot of wood spice. A lot of really nice vanilla, oaky.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that sip anyway was a little flatter on the palate than it is on the nose. Like the nose was a little more bold.
Well, this is my bottle, which, well, you've had it before, but it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go back and forth between these two.
Yeah.
This one we get a little more oak on, the one on the left here. This one I'm getting a little more sweetness and sugary, kind of that brown sugar, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a distinction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a lot of oak and vanilla.
Yeah, a lot of distinction. This is way sweeter.
Yeah, there's a noticeable difference between those two. I mean, they're in the same family, but I would guess that they were, that they were two different bourbons. Like maybe from the same distillery, you know. Buffalo Trace, it comes in at, 90.4 or whatever, so it's not much different in proof. And I know it's the different, mash bill number 1, and this is mash bill number 2.
Correct.
But, it's got distilleries have their kind of quintessential notes and flavor profiles and stuff like that. So they are within that family.
Sure.
This one, I think maybe, like I said, leans on the oakier side and this one's on the sweeter side. So it's kind of I don't know. It's almost like you took one really good bourbon and divided it up into two separate,
it is
into two good bourbons, but they're in the same family, but they have different bold notes that stick out. You know what I mean?
I do. This is the first time I've ever drank or tasted Blanton's from two different bottles.
Yeah, right next to each other.
Right.
Yeah. We're not drinking water in between. Maybe be a little more fair.
More fair.
I botched that, didn't I?
No, I mean, I think it's a good comparison. I mean, they are definitely different on the aroma and on the tongue. They're both good.
Yeah.
All right, so what else is in this family? I'm curious.
In mash bill number 2, it's Elmer T. Lee, Rock Hill Farms, Hancock Reserve.
Which I've never even seen.
Yeah.
That must not be in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, they're all rare.
Yeah.
And then Ancient Age. So we could bust out some Ancient Age at the end of this and, just see where it comes from.
I'm curious, is it 80?
Yeah,
it moved.
80.
There it is. So it's 80. It's 80.
Yep.
So we're guessing, is this a 4-year?
No, it's 36, I think. It says it's at least 36.
Yeah. 1 liter, 80 proof.
I almost think we have to now.
I still have bourbon in my glass. I can't.
I've got more glasses. We could put the Ancient Age in just one of those little plastic shot glasses.
Yeah, we could.
But yeah, this is the fun part about single barrels, is because you really can get a different. Some of them are pretty close to the point that you may not notice much of a difference. Yeah. But then some of them, it's fairly noticeable. And like I was saying before, it's almost like these are two of the same thing that are just EQ'd different.
Mm-hmm.
The wood's turned up a little more on this. The sugar and
Sure.
that light fruit note I was getting on the back that kind of seemed a little grapey.
Yep.
I'm losing that a little bit the further I'm getting into it, but
But the reality is trees, which make barrels, newsflash, they're different, you know, and maybe it came from a different hill, a different, you know, source of, you know, and then a different burn, the char on the barrel slightly different. And that just creates a different bourbon.
different floor on the rack, you know.
I got this bottle in Wyoming. I don't know if that makes any difference, but that's where I was when I bought it.
Yeah, you don't see it on the shelves too much, and when you do, it's just ridiculously priced. I just got back from Punta Cana a couple months ago, in April, and at the duty free,
in Iowa, right?
Yeah, Punta Cana, Iowa. So at the duty free shop down there, I walked in and a whole shelf full of Blantons, dozens of bottles.
Dozens.
Yeah, but they were $120. It's like, nope. They were 70, 75 maybe.
I actually got a phone call today from a local liquor store. Thank you for calling, but I just don't want to pay $129 for Blantons.
Is that what they're charging for it?
Yeah.
See, that's ridiculous. And it's one thing when the...
Unfortunately, somebody else will pay that.
Yeah, that's
So,
the problem.
that's
People
the problem.
keep paying it. It's just going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Until the hype all dies down and people just get sick of looking for it.
So maybe
and then the
this-
market will get flooded with it because
yes.
nobody wants it anymore, and then
Maybe
it'll
this,
be...
It's not cool will turn into people actually ignoring it, and it'll stockpile on the shelves.
Yeah,
And this will go from top shelf to second shelf to third shelf.
yeah.
You know, $55, take two.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Probably not, but it's...
I don't think it'll ever go below like 60, 65. 'cause
Yeah,
that's kind of
where it should be.
Yeah, that's where it is. It's a good $60, $65 bourbon. And to be honest, I've got bourbons on the shelf that are cheaper than that I like better.
I agree.
You know?
I do too.
But yeah, it really bothers me when, and maybe we'll talk about this in another video when we talk about bourbon collecting and stuff, but the allocated stuff, it's one thing when their prices are super jacked up on the secondary because someone's trying to make a profit off of a bottle that they hunted down and bought. Mm-hmm. When liquor stores blatantly overcharge and price gouge and take advantage of that really bothers me.
It does.
You know, it's like, yeah, make your profit, but I
Because
don't know.
Buffalo
it just
Trace
seems-
is still charging the same amount for this.
Yeah.
And the distributor, and they're not raising their prices.
Yeah. So when you see pictures, on the internet of liquor stores with, Rip Van Winkle for
Hundreds.
$400, $500, $600, $700, $800, it's like, that's just,
It's price gouging.
it makes you not want to shop even at that liquor store. For
Yeah,
the
right.
other
Even
stuff,
if
to
they
be
have a good
honest.
price on, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Do we have any more to ramble about this?
I mean, you touched on the point that some people, because they have it, they think they're cool, and they want to make some fun of someone else. But the reality is we all see different things when we go to a liquor store.
Yeah.
There are bourbons on...
Try to get this out of here.
Yeah.
Since we're not sampling that.
No longer the star of the show.
Ancient Age is the base model of Mash Bill 2. We should probably just mention why we had that in there. Anyway, sorry.
That's like a 25...
Oh, no, that's like a 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's really
Inexpensive
legit.
bourbon.
Yeah.
Not hard to find. A lot of stores don't carry it just because they don't, but you could find it anywhere if they wanted to carry it. But it's like some people, because they have it, they think they're cool, and they want to make fun of other people. And that's when I think what you were hinting at with the douchiness and people are just starting out, and we see different things on the shelf. I know people right now who can go into liquor stores in the United States and find this probably a little bit overpriced, but it's sitting on the shelf every day. Minnesota, you never see it. It never makes it to the shelf.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, too, is that, or it's people that are like, oh, Blanton's, that's so yesterday.
Right.
Because they're a little further along in their collecting, and people...
Or they never could find it and they moved on.
Yeah, well, there's that, too, but or they've just got way cooler bottles than Blanton's, so now it's like... But at some point, you were all looking for this if you're a bourbon collector. We all, kind of start out as this is the first one that you try to go out and find when you don't really realize how... You hear that it's rare, so you go in and ask for it. I mean, I don't really bother going in and asking for anything anymore,
Yeah, me either.
because it's not going to be there, and so anyway. But it's good. It's good for the price. I hope people stop overpaying for it. And I hope people stop just kind of making fun of people for looking for it and liking it, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's not a correlation between price and quality. Now, this is expensive and it is good, but I actually prefer the good bourbons that are cheap. Mm-hmm. And I recently discovered a brand that I had been ignoring for years, and I've talked about it a few times on the channel. Evan Williams, different brand, different distillery, but I ignored them for years. Mm-hmm. And you can find their stuff on every shelf of every liquor store.
Yeah, and Evan Williams single barrel is great.
It is.
Super cheap,
super easy to find.
Now, it's not as good as this, but
it doesn't.
It's good.
It is great. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It works for me. And I think that's another thing is everybody's going to have the bourbon that just is right down the wheelhouse for them. And right now, that bourbon for me is the Evan Williams line. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of them in there that are just awesome. And I'd much prefer to have that line at $60 or whatever, probably even less than that, you know, for the 4 kind of main bourbons.
Oh, and you mean to buy all of them for $60?
Right. Yeah. As opposed to one of these that I'm afraid to drink or finish the bottle. I mean, this has been open for over a year, and I'm very careful with it. But the reality is I should just drink it. I enjoy it. It's great.
And reality is we both have a couple of these on our shelves. Yeah. Because if I see one of these for MSRP, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, me too.
Just because I like to have a variety of bourbons. So when I see one that I know I can't get, it might be 6 months, a year before I see it again, I'm going to grab it every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's plenty of, and I like higher proof stuff. I kind of like that 100 proof and above range now.
Yep.
But there are some lower proof ones that have a little extra age on them that are really nice, that kind of punch above their proof. But yeah, there's plenty of other options out there. So in short, if you're new to collecting bourbon, I think you and I have talked about this. You're out hunting for bourbon and you're looking for this and you can't find it. Don't worry about it. You're probably not going to find it. Buy like 3 or 4 bottles of something else and explore different flavor profiles and find out what you really like. And
yeah, so pick something from one of the top distilleries, a couple of the different top distilleries, you know, and see whatever you can find in Buffalo Trace. I mean, there is a similarity between everything they offer, you know, and
unfortunately, most of them you can't find anywhere now, even the basic
stuff. That's the hard part, you know. And pick something from Wild Turkey, pick something from Beam, and you know, Maker's Mark, and you know, and then figure out what really works for you.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is bourbon collecting is not a sprint; it's a marathon. You don't have to get all the good stuff right away to have on your shelf. It's, you know,
agreed.
A whiskey collection is fun because you're exploring different things, and like we're just saying, finding out what you like, and that's really what it's all about. Just doing flights with your friends and sharing it with, you know, people. And so
totally agree.
Anyway, it's a recommend if you see it for MSRP, but please stop overpaying for it. Just don't do that.
Agreed.
So, all right. Well, this has been Blanton's.
Actually, one question. If anybody has any, I'm curious what other people's opinions are. So if you do have thoughts about, you know, does this make you a douche if you search for it? You know, let us know what you think, and maybe we're totally off base.
Yeah.
So
maybe it does make you a complete douche, and we're just really nice people.
Well, it could be.
Don't think that way.
Yeah. California/Minnesota thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, this has been the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Thanks for watching. Cheers.